would help to create real estate value and create economic value for the city that would pay for the cost of preserving and creating this park many times over. And lastly, the Anacostia Waterfront Initiative, which was a very large-scale waterfront redevelopment plan adjacent to transit services in Washington, D.C. The Anacostia is D.C.'s second river, and we helped through a combination of public realm improvements. Eventually, they landed the Washington Nationals and decided to locate their ballpark there, but to leverage a series of public investments and a partnership with the federal government in order to create a new mixed-use, mixed-income community that's the most rapidly changing neighborhood in Washington, D.C. For this study, our objectives were, I think, first and foremost, to ensure that Union Depot would continue to function effectively as a transit facility going forward into its future, and make sure that in order to do that, Union Depot needs to be a vibrant and inviting place. Ideally, and I think we have a mechanism to do so, to provide a revenue stream for Ramsey County to support and sustain operations, to maximize the benefits of the depot and its ability to help to catalyze redevelopment downtown and across all the transit corridors, and then lastly but not least, to engender Lower Town, which is a very particular neighborhood within the greater Twin Cities community, to engender its growth as a distinctive community going forward.
Mr. Chair.
Janice?
I just want to make sure the revenue stream that you speak of is in the broadest context. It's not Ramsey County money revenue stream. You're talking in a broad context.
I think that there's two. There's a very broad context of revenue across the Twin Cities from economic growth, and then also in thinking about the development context, this is an asset that Ramsey County owns, right, and it has, obviously, as you know and have just voted on, capital costs associated with it, but there will be operating costs that will affect its transit tenants. So providing a revenue stream from development or retail activity or other activity
or
within
leases
the depot.
Or those types of things, which you get into later on.
Yes.
But I just wanted to make sure when you said a Ramsey County revenue stream, it's not just it's
not just the county, but we also are focused that you will be the owners and stewards of the terminal.
Thank you.
In terms of the depot's place within the community, we like to start from the 30,000-foot level, and we're fascinated, and I think during our preparation for the interview for this project, fascinating to learn that the depot and the land around it comprises approximately a third of downtown's riverfront.
And 10% of the entire acreage of downtown St. Paul.
The depot and the transit investments coming in through the downtown station area plans were identified as a potential catalyst for downtown development. So the sites that are highlighted in here in the map are sites that were identified in the downtown station area plan within a quarter to a half mile of the depot that would be in the area of impact immediately for the depot's development. And then there's the potential for the depot to serve as a centerpiece for a long-term riverfront strategy for the city of St. Paul. While the depot property itself is about a third of the downtown waterfront, there's approximately a mile of the waterfront that's owned or controlled by public sector, primarily by Ramsey County, also by the post office, and that there's a very long-term opportunity here that combines development and public realm improvements that could be part of the riverfront strategy. Yes?
Janice.
Mr. Chair, are you aware that there are some current riverfront plans going on for that area, and did you interface with them?
Yeah,
I'm actually a member of the Great River Park team as well. I'm HR&A's project manager. We're doing the funding, programming, and management strategy for the Great River Park project. So we've been talking. So you're
kissing cousins?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Exactly.
Integrated as you can get.
I just,
right.
I went through this.
So in terms of thinking about this, step one is how do you activate and develop the depot itself? And most of our presentation focuses on the building, which we think is the important phase one and really the main issue to focus on in the short term. Union Depot creates incredible opportunities. Ramsey County owns approximately 185,000 square feet of usable space within Union Depot. About half of that space has been identified as necessary for transit infrastructure and services. But there is, in addition to that, there are tenant spaces or potential tenant spaces that have been marked out, including where Christos is located, where Ramsey County Regional Rail has its field office, and there's some community space as well. In addition, there's a very significant amount of both outdoor on the front plaza and then indoor in the head house, concourse, and waiting room civic space that will be important for transit purposes. But as we get into the presentation, we believe is that there's a significant amount of additional space in there that creates opportunities to do more and to augment the transit serving uses. Our study was the methodology we undertook was multifaceted. We conducted a market assessment that included reviewing local demographics, analyzing 4 sectors of the local real estate market. We had a roundtable of developers that we convened with the assistance of ULI. We did benchmarking of retail and entertainment districts, and also did a public market district assessment. I should say, in addition to that, we reviewed and analyzed approximately 10 previous studies in St. Paul, the downtown station area plans, the St. Paul and the Mississippi Riverfront Framework Plan, which we sort of got to know Lucy very well as she was involved in all those studies, and met with approximately 20 different stakeholders from the community, business, and government organizations. We also, yes.
Eric, I'm going to stop you for a moment. Commissioner Reinhardt has a question.
And actually, I wanted to go back to the Union Depot investments and your chart there.
Yes.
Because these documents, even though we're looking at them today here, become part of the public record. And quite honestly, I can't tell the difference between those colors. We can't. And so if you could, once this becomes available online, please do something different with the greens especially, because I can't tell what is what.
Okay. Sure thing.
What can't you tell? On the pie chart?
On the pie chart, you have 3 different shades of green, and when I go over to the main floor layout, they all look the same to me.
Okay.
The layout, and it's probably a mistake on our part, the layout is one shade of green. It's just showing green in general is civic spaces. Right. Yeah.
Then I'm not going crazy.
Oh, you caught my malady.
Well, but I do think, again, I mean, I get it because I know the layout, but I think for somebody that's looking on our website to really understand this, and there's a lot of interest in this, that it would be nice if it was easier for them to understand.
Certainly, I think we'll do that. One of the points of the diagram on the right, I think, is to be able to show how the civic space of the depot really does stretch from the front plaza, goes through the building, and it will really, ideally, be one seamless civic space.
Yes. Thank you.
So, I wanted to quickly take you through some of the summary of the findings, a lot of which are consistent, or most of which are consistent and possibly a little more updated than the downtown station area plans. The first thing that struck us is that if you draw a half-mile radius around Union Depot, which is this first bar, the leftmost column on the chart, the rate of growth of residential population in the last decade there has been quite significant, and quite significantly larger than the rest of the Twin Cities, including downtown as a whole. So there's been population growth of 20 to 25%. Currently, there are 4,500 residents and 35,000 workers who are within a half a mile of Union Depot. Increasingly, as you look forward into the future, there's a tendency towards urban populations, and growth in urban populations has been fairly well documented in studies ranging from the University of Minnesota to the Urban Land Institute, and research that we've done as well, showing that with aging baby boomers and Generation Y, or echo boomers in particular, that there's likely to be a return to the urban center versus the last couple of decades. And increasingly within that half-mile radius around Union Depot in the lower town area, we're starting to see more representation from the Asian, Black, and Latino population. We wish in some ways that we were doing this after the 2010 census comes in to really get a better sense of it. But we see it as we're walking around, and it's starting to show up in the demographics, and I think is an important trend for what the depot has the potential to be. In terms of the real estate market, and sort of try to compress a lot of work onto one slide here, looking at the 4 sectors that we evaluated. In terms of residential, which has been the fastest growing sector in the last decade, there were 210 units absorbed since 2000. We've projected, and it's consistent with the downtown station area plan, the potential for 5,000 to 7,000 new units over the next 30 years. And in order to support residential community, something that we hear when we talk to the community is the need for more local amenities. And many of the amenities that can serve transit riders can also serve the local community, whether you're talking about bakeries, dry cleaners, restaurants, groceries, and the like. In terms of office, I think probably don't need to tell you that the St. Paul office market has a number of challenges, and I think most critical to those challenges is what's the strategy for attracting major office tenants. There's currently about a 17% vacancy rate for competitive space. In addition to that, the post office building is a major puzzle piece to be sorted out, as well as the West Complex. And in terms of thinking about the depot and the land around it, we didn't think that, at least in the short term, that the strategy should focus on office development, but provide flexibility should that come along at some point within the next decade or two, because new construction is going to be driven by site-specific tenant needs, and there's a lot of space currently available on the market. Hotels will require some combination of more business and entertainment needs. There are currently 6 downtown hotels. They've all been renovated, so there's been a capital investment cycle in the downtown hotels already, but they're only operating at about 62% occupancy. Retail was a sector that we were very interested in, particularly if you look at Lower Town. There's a growing scene, and we see it as being something that's in need of critical mass. And we think that combining retail with programming, which is something that the Lower Town Entertainment District is doing, can help to grow and fuel that momentum. We were struck by the Lower Town Entertainment District, which currently has about 5 bars and entertainment venues and 6 and growing restaurants, and I think Danny's probably managed to go to each of them and talk to the owners during the course of our time here. And one of the phrases that really hit us was that Lower Town is about fresh food, fresh art, and fresh culture. If you look at Lower Town and compare it with other entertainment districts in North American cities, what you can see is that there's been a good start to it, but what makes entertainment districts work is critical mass. And we believe, and I've been talking with Lenny Russo at Heartland and talking with the owners of Barrio and the Bulldog, adding more to that mix will help them. There's some degree of competitiveness, but when you add more to a mix in an entertainment district concept, it helps to establish a place and a brand that helps everyone. Looking around at just what Union Depot can be in terms of there are going to be 4 million people eventually passing through or near its doors every day who are transit customers, we thought it was important to assess the demand of what those transit customers themselves will generate for retail and other services. And it's important with the Union Depot that its ridership is something that's going to evolve over time. So phase 1 is going to be, when the depot opens in 2012 with Amtrak and the bus lines, there'll be approximately 175,000 riders a year going through Union Depot. And a number of those are going to be associated with Amtrak, where you're going to be a train early in the morning and a train late at night, not optimal for a retail operator and not a huge amount of a customer base. By 2014, we'll be getting closer to 1 million riders a year when this... Commissioner, did you have a question?
Commissioner Bennett.
Yeah. You talk about the 4 million, you talk about the numbers here. How many of them are actually going to be just kind of going through, transferring trains, et cetera? How many of them are going to be into the area, out into those restaurants and those stores? Have you broke that down?
I don't think we have a clear picture of it. I think that...
Because that's what will make the stores survive, is those that are, especially unless they're inside of the depot where they've got an hour to wait and so forth, they're not going to help. They're not going to help the ones that are 2 blocks away.